losing her beloved soulmate after the crimson light fell. For no one to share her fate, on the moon she cast a spell. Febe Butterfly, the mistress of the moon, the second Night Queen. Born Zamorano 5, 121 a.m. Died Grevans 10, 176 a.m. Reigned 142 a.m. to 163 a.m. Married to Rowan Wolf. Children Saturnia Butterfly and Scarlea Butterfly. Febe was born to Queen Harmony Butterfly and her husband, King Flora Butterfly, on Zamorano 5, 121 a.m. She had a mother's red eyes, her father's red hair, and possessed a pair of red crescent moons on her cheeks. Febe's childhood was one of luxury, as though her parents were very hard-working individuals. She was given all she wanted by them, and spent many days purely by their side. Soon after her birth, her Aunt Felicia and her family returned to the kingdom, and she found a close friend in her cousin Prism Solar. Febe was always ladylike and mysterious as a child, and she always curtsied to everyone, and said things in such a way that everyone was left to wonder what she truly meant. The princess's love of the colour of red was already clearly evident, and she wore many red gowns, and her favourite accessory was a red jewelled headdress that she would wear outside. This earned her the nickname from Queen Harmony of Scarlet Child, a nickname which she loved and treasured throughout her life. Febe also used to like going places with a small group of noblemen and knights in training, who we know from her Germans were named Hawk Redbird, the Deciduous Flowers, Sky Mercrium, and Rowan Wolf. Febe's beauty was noted by many noblemen at meetings and audiences, and people would try to buy the princess's love, only to be turned down because she genuinely didn't want them to get her anything too expensive. Febe also had the hobby of stargazing with the Queen Mother Valaria, and looked up at the stars with great interest. This, along with having tea parties, was her favourite way to spend time with her grandmother. Febe had developed a couple of romantic relationships by this point, but they never endured for one reason or another. The princess's love for jewelry started at this time, and whenever she went out of the house, you could expect her to be immaculately made up with red and gold. This earned her the nickname of Dragoness by her friends, one she felt was fitting for her. Febe wasn't smiled nicely upon by other noblewomen, especially because her close friends were all male. Her friends would all defend her against any rumour, and she was quick to write the source of any rumours. Febe inherited the monsoon and found herself naturally drawn to emotional magic, and as such, most of her spells can only be successful in certain moods. The situation in which Febe discovered Warren's crush on her was quite funny, as she found out when she heard Warren arguing with Bluebell Forest, the daughter of House Forest. Warren was chastising her for referring to Febe's folk group as something inappropriate, and seemed quite emotional about it. Febe was observing from behind a tree, and then heard Bluebell said, "You seem quite agitated at the thought of other men being with Her Highness, and you defend her to the last. Do you perhaps have feelings for Her Highness, Sir Wolf?" Rowan went in response, and tried to stutter something to the contrary, and Febe ran off, unsure of how to respond to this information. It was also this year that Febe's grandmother, Polaria the Navigator, passed away, and she expressed her emotions through dance while helping her depressed mother however she could. The following year, Febe asked Rowan about his feelings, and Rowan admitted his crush, and they started the relationship together. Febe was very happy when the king and queen both accepted and got on well with Rowan. A favourite activity of the princess was to go into the forest and look up at the stars, and at age 16, she was already forming the basis for Oriole significations. Febe's only star ball still came, and she was arranging things until the last second. She put up red, dark pink, and lilac, the colours of love, around the room. She chose the Saturnia, not the ballroom, and this is a tradition that has endured until the present day. Febe also designed grand costumes for herself and Rowan, and everyone was entranced as Rowan and Febe danced underneath the moonlight together. Harmony gave the relationship her official blessing soon after, to the great joy of her daughter and boyfriend. Febe then inherited the crown and then set about discovering new constellations and forming stronger alliances with other dimensions, as she loved to travel to many of them. Febe married Rowan in that same year, with all of their childhood and present friends in attendance. The wedding was elegant, royal, and coloured in red. Soon, Febe's first child was born, a girl called Saturnia Butterfly. She was born on Flight 72, 142 AM, and had her father's lilac hair, her grandfather's grey eyes, and wore purple 8-pointed stars in her cheeks. The year of 143 was tragic, as Febe brought Rowan out to the forest for a date. They were attacked by a Bernacle. Febe survived with some injuries, but Rowan died protecting his pregnant wife and unborn child. Febe regressed into herself after this traumatic event, and cast a spell on the blood moon that would bind the souls of whoever danced beneath it from now on. On Lover's Day, 144 AM, Febe gave birth to Scarlea Butterfly, who had her mother's red hair and her father's blue eyes. She wore orange arrows on her cheeks. Febe could not have made it through those hard years without her mother and father staying close by her side and helping to raise her children. Saturnia's proper speech and first flirting reminded the queen of her mother, so she encouraged Saturnia to broaden her horizons. She also encouraged the personality of Scarlea, who was somewhat tomboyish and very athletic. Febe started to acquire her taste for going to meetings, as all of her Mewnices were trying to pressure her to remarry. This all came to a head in 153, when the queen powerfully announced, "I never loved anybody but Rowan, and I will never love anybody but Rowan. Our souls will be banned for longer than this planet will exist." Febe was a kind and loving mother to both Saturnia and Scarlea, and they always came above everything else in her life. The family's frequent vacations meant that Scarlea came to love foreign cultures, and Febe took to performing plays alongside her daughter. Saturnia soon inherited the throne, and Febe encouraged her daughter to study magic as much as she wished. Saturnia's Sunday festival was befitting for Febe, as she loved to throw grand balls, and the festival was every bit fit for a princess. Febe returned to her way of grand parties and began wearing red again shortly after this. Her nickname of the Mistress of the Moon came from her frequent night actors and her love of dancing underneath the moon, alone or with her daughters. Febe also encouraged her daughters to continue her education until age 19, and held a great party when she graduated. She also encouraged Scarlea to focus on her studies and become well educated as well. Febe's mother, Harmony the Righteous, soon passed on Grandma 42, 158 AM. Febe was heartbroken and stayed in her room for about 2 months afterwards, conducting all duties from behind a door. She isolated herself because she also loved her beloved aunt, Princess Felicia, that year. 2 years later, Plural Butterfly passed from natural causes in the North after 61, 160 AM. Febe endured better with help from Saturnia, Scarlea, and Prison. Saturnia soon inherited the crown, and Febe stayed with her family for the rest of her life. Febe was enraged when the attempt on Saturnia's life was made by Saturnia Plains, and was the one who eventually apprehended Saturnia during her attempt to escape. Febe, along with Prism, his family, and all of Saturnia's Mewnistas, witnessed the ceremony in which Saturnia rewarded Scarlea for her bravery with a medal. She then bear witness to the marriage of Saturnia to the Yellow Switcher and the birth of her granddaughter, Princess Hysteria. Febe passed away from a heart attack on Gravan's turn, 176 AM. She will be forever known as the Red Queen, who defied all convention.